She was 16 years old. She was a student. And the man who was supposed to protect her in that classroom was the same man who let her die. On the night of February 12th, 2023, Esmeralda Richiez left her home in the Dominican Republic with her mathematics teacher. She came back just before midnight, pale, barely able to stand, and bleeding heavily. By the following morning, she was dead. What happened in the hours between those two moments is one of the most disturbing cases to come out of the Caribbean in recent years. This is the story of Esmeralda Richiez and the teacher who destroyed her future.
Esmeralda Richiez Martinez was born on August 23, 2006, in La Altagracia province, Dominican Republic. She grew up in a working-class family. Her father, Eligio Richiez Castillo, worked hard to provide for the household. Her mother, Isabel, managed the home, and her older sister Yurimar was her closest companion. By the time Esmeralda reached her teenage years, she had developed into someone her community genuinely admired. Her classmates described her as cheerful, kind, and always putting others before herself. Her teachers noticed her too, not just for her personality, but for her presence. She loved the camera. She posted short videos on social media showing her passion for dancing, fashion, and makeup. She was comfortable in front of an audience, natural, joyful, full of plans.
She was in the upper grades at her school, the Instituto Agropecuario de Higüey, a polytechnic school in the La Otra Banda area of La Altagracia. Among the teachers at that school was a 35-year-old man named John Kelly Martínez. He taught mathematics and physical education. He was married. He had 3 children. One of his own children was the same age as Esmeralda and studied at the very same school. He had been on probation for just 1 year after passing the national teaching examination. He was new to the profession, and he had already begun paying Esmeralda special attention. Her sister Yurimar later told investigators that she had seen Esmeralda with John Kelly on more than one occasion. She had asked her younger sister about the nature of their relationship. Esmeralda always said the same thing. He was her teacher, nothing more. On the evening of Sunday, February 12th, 2023, at around 7:30 in the evening, a cream-colored Honda pulled up outside Esmeralda's home in the Vista Alegre neighborhood of Higüey. Behind the wheel was John Kelly Martínez. In the car with him were 3 other underage girls and his 20-year-old cousin, Ruben Murillo Martinez. The teacher knocked on the door. He spoke to Esmeralda's mother, Isabel. He told her they were planning to take the girls to a fair, an amusement park, for the evening. A safe outing. A fun Sunday night. Isabel agreed. She trusted him. He was her daughter's teacher. She had no reason not to. Her only condition was that Esmeralda be brought home before it got too late. Esmeralda's father, Eligio, was not home that evening. He was at church. He later told investigators that if he had been there, he would not have allowed his daughter to go. He had never seen this man before in his life. But Eligio was not there, and so Esmeralda got into the car. The fair never existed. John Kelly Martínez had never planned to take them there. Instead, the car headed in a completely different direction, toward Macau Beach, 28 kilometers from Esmeralda's home. Before they reached the beach, John Kelly Martínez stopped the car at a shop. He bought beer and possibly other substances. Back in the car, He asked his cousin Ruben to move to the back seat and asked Esmeralda to sit in the front, beside him. He had a thermos. He poured beer into it and added 5 tablets without Esmeralda's knowledge, without her consent. He offered her the drink. She accepted because she had no idea what was in it. One of the other girls in the car noticed him adding the tablets. She said nothing in the moment, but she remembered everything, and she would eventually tell police.
When they arrived at Macau Beach, the 3 underage girls and Ruben got out of the vehicle. They walked toward the beach, leaving Esmeralda alone in the car with her teacher. They were alone in that car for approximately 30 minutes. The other girls eventually noticed that Esmeralda and John Kelly had been away too long. They asked Ruben where they were. He did not give them a clear answer. About half an hour later, John Kelly returned. He told everyone to get back in the car. They were leaving. According to prosecutors, what happened in that car in the 30 minutes they were alone was a violent criminal act against a 16-year-old girl. The evidence would later confirm it beyond any doubt.
From the moment the group left Macau Beach, Esmeralda was bleeding heavily. During the drive back, one of her friends asked to stop at a gas station along the road because Esmeralda needed to use the bathroom. When the girls went inside with Esmeralda, they discovered that her clothes were covered in blood. So much blood that they were forced to wash the bathroom floor. Terrified, they asked a female attendant working at the station whether what they were seeing was normal. The attendant said no. She told them to take Esmeralda to a doctor immediately. The girls went back to John Kelly and told him what was happening. He appeared exhausted or indifferent.
Esmeralda had already lost consciousness in the car multiple times. And still, the teacher did not call for emergency medical help. He did not stop at a hospital. He did not call an ambulance. Security camera footage obtained by police showed John Kelly entering the gas station bathroom with Esmeralda at 9:45 that night. At 10:21 p.m., the car stopped at a pharmacy on España Avenue in Bavaro. John Kelly and Ruben went inside. They bought medicine, water, and sanitary pads. Authorities obtained the security footage and the purchase receipt. About 1 kilometer from Esmeralda's house, they stopped one more time at a friend's home. Esmeralda changed her clothes. At approximately 11 p.m. that night, John Kelly Martínez and Ruben dropped Esmeralda at her front door, then drove away, without saying a word to her parents about what had happened, without calling for help, without doing anything at all. When Esmeralda came home, her parents saw immediately that something was wrong. Her face was completely drained of color. She could barely stand. They asked her what had happened. She told them nothing was wrong. Her mother was not convinced. She called one of Esmeralda's friends for an explanation. The friend denied anything had happened. Her parents were upset. They had expected her home earlier. They were angry about the beach when they had been told it was a fair. They scolded her. And eventually, they all went to bed. That night, Esmeralda sent a voice message to a close friend. She said she needed help. She was losing too much blood. The friend did not respond. At 6:30 the following morning,
Isabel knocked on her daughter's bedroom door several times. It was time to get ready for school. There was no answer. She called her husband. They opened the door together. The first thing they saw was a bed soaked completely in blood. They rushed to the bathroom. Esmeralda was there. She was gone. At 8:15 that Monday morning, police were notified. The autopsy would later confirm what the investigators already suspected. Esmeralda Richiez had died from hypovolemic shock, caused by a severe internal hemorrhage, the result of violent activity that had been deliberately inflicted upon her by the man who had been trusted to teach her. Investigators moved quickly. They secured Esmeralda's phone. On it were several voice messages she had sent the night before, including one to the friend who had been with her at the beach. The parents of 3 of the underage girls handed their daughters' phones directly to police. On one of those phones, investigators found a voice message in which one of Esmeralda's friends told her that John Kelly had put something in her drink without her knowledge or consent. Investigators also discovered that the teacher had been in regular contact with the group of underage girls. Security cameras at the gas station confirmed the stop. The pharmacy verified the late-night purchase. Blood traces were found in the car park of the gas station, confirming the movement of the group that night. On February 14th, Valentine's Day, John Kelly Martínez walked into the police station. He was arrested immediately after questioning. 2 days later, his home was searched. Police collected his clothing from that Sunday, including the pants he had been wearing. His cousin Ruben was also arrested, not for what he did at the beach, but for trying to hide the evidence afterward, including the bloodied clothing of his cousin. John Kelly Martínez was suspended from his teaching position within 90 days. The Minister of Education stated publicly that he was embarrassed and that the judiciary needed to do its job. The case went through a full judicial process. The National Institute of Forensic Sciences confirmed that Esmeralda had been subjected to violent activity, that this had caused a vaginal tear, severe acute internal bleeding, and the hypovolemic shock that killed her. The preliminary autopsy ruled her death a violent death of undetermined cause, pending toxicological results. When those toxicological results came back, they raised additional questions that the family and their lawyers continued to push on. In March 2024, after a full trial, the Collegiate Court of La Altagracia found John Kelly Martínez guilty. He was sentenced to 20 years in prison. He was also ordered to pay 2 million Dominican pesos in compensation to Esmeralda's family, and a fine of 200,000 pesos to the state. His defense team appealed the conviction. The appeal was heard by the Court of Appeals of the San Pedro de Macorís Judicial Department. The court confirmed the 20-year sentence in full. John Kelly Martínez will remain in prison. The family's right to compensation was also confirmed. In 2022, when she was 15 years old, Esmeralda posted a TikTok video. In it, she said something that sounds like a joke. She said that to receive flowers on Valentine's Day, she would have to die on February 13th. She died on February 13th, 2023, 1 year after she posted that video.
I do not think this means anything beyond the cruelest kind of coincidence, but it is a detail that no one who covered this case could ignore, and one that her family will carry for the rest of their lives. The Dominican Republic has one of the most restrictive laws on abortion in the world. In a country where that conversation is already painful,
The death of a 16-year-old girl at the hands of her teacher opened a wound that is still far from healing. Esmeralda's father said it simply: a teacher should be a father and a protector to his students, not a criminal. What this man did to my daughter, I hope the full force of the law holds him accountable. It did. But for Eligio and Isabel, for Yurimar, and for every friend who got into that car and could not stop what happened, 20 years in a prison cell will never be the same thing as justice. Esmeralda Richiez would have been 18 years old this year. She would have graduated, made more videos, danced, laughed. She had plans. Instead, the world knows her name because of what was done to her, not because of what she was capable of becoming. The man who held that responsibility, who stood in that classroom and called himself her teacher, will spend the next 20 years in prison. Is that enough? Leave your answer in the comments. And if this case stayed with you, subscribe to Dark Verdict. Every week, we cover the cases that the world needs to remember. I will see you in the next one.